Hey, Stanley, mind if I go furling? I got a girl in the hospital.
The hospital?
Yeah.
Personally, I like mine healthy, but, well, go ahead. To each his own.
The name of Larry King Cohen hasn't been made mention to in a while on this channel, and that is an absolute shame. I think the last time I had covered Cohen was when I did The Stuff, which was... I don't even want to think about how long. I've always considered him to be one of the most effectively creative when it comes to cult film directors. Making his start in stand-up comedy and writing for some pretty damn memorable TV, Cohen would go on to basically help fortify the blaxploitation subgenre with stuff like Black Caesar, gave the big monster subgenre a run for its money with the painfully underrated Q, the Winged Serpent, or Quetzalcoatl. He gave us a menacing killer baby, a menacing killer frozen yogurt, and a menacing killer ambulance? Well, not quite, but we're on the right track. This is Larry Cohen's still criminally underrated and under-talked about 1990 thriller, The Ambulance. Eric Roberts and his power mullet pursues a gorgeous career woman in the hustling and bustling streets of New York City through the power of Larry Cohen's guerrilla filmmaking. After his ever-so-charming, aggressive pickup attempt is thwarted, the woman collapses in the street out of nowhere and gets picked up by the Ecto-1. Man, I've seen some cold rejections in my day, but pretending to faint in public? Points for originality. This is Josh and Cheryl. Cheryl is a busy business lady that also suffers from diabetes. She was actually on her way to the hospital, which is why she was being so dismissive. Gorgeous mullet Josh is a plucky young artist for Marvel Comics. Yes, you heard correctly, Marvel Comics. Spider-Man and shit. Is that Stan Lee in a Larry Cohen film? Yes it is, but more on that later. There's actually some pretty interesting shit to unpack. Cheryl is picked up in an ambulance and actually wants Josh to come visit her at the hospital she's being taken to, but when he shows up and there's no record of her being there, things start to seem fishy. That, or this chick's rejection game is really that strong. This flick is a trip, and if I'm being honest, it's kinda all over the fucking place. So a mysterious retro ambulance is picking up diabetics and taking them to a secret experimental hospital where a mad doctor claims he can cure diabetes with animal parts. You still following? Meanwhile, Josh is running around New York City trying to find Cheryl, who is currently in said secret hospital, freaking the fuck out because when they cure her diabetes, they're gonna kill her anyway. So, what misadventures does Josh get up to? Well, he tries to file a missing persons report for Cheryl, but he doesn't know her last name, so he makes as best an artist depiction of her as he can, which Police Lieutenant Thulsa fucking Doom makes fun of him for.
This is her, Lieutenant.
I know her. Yeah. Veronica in Archie. She looks like Veronica.
No, she doesn't. Veronica's got bangs.
Maybe you just made her up.
He gets poisoned by milk and has a freakout, ending up in Bellevue for a bit. Why? Because word has gotten out about him snooping about for Cheryl's whereabouts and talking about the mysterious old ambulance. An attempt is made at his life, but an old man he's sharing a room with helps him escape. And this is all at about halfway into the movie.
Oh, Dad, we knew it was coming.
She suffered, it's a woman.
We knew it was coming, Dad.
Yeah, but why did you have to go before me?
Oh, come
Why?
on, come on. We have to go.
41 years she cooked for
We
me,
have
she
to go
cleaned
on
for me,
living.
she made love to me.
And let's not forget, Eric Roberts' character works as an artist for Marvel fucking Comics. You know what? Let's talk about that. Okay, so for the much younger members of my audience, if you're out there was a time when Marvel Comics wasn't owned by the Nazi mouse and wasn't taking up about 90% of the mainstream film market. In no way could a filmmaker today parade around images of Spider-Man, the Hulk, and Wolverine without having to pay boatloads in royalties. Like, wasn't there some story in somewhat recent years about this kid's dying wish was to have Spider-Man on his tombstone or some shit, and Disney Marvel were just like, nah, fuck you. Now, I don't know if that's true, but I'm sure that same sentiment would be used for a lower to mid-budget cult filmmaker wanting to have Marvel Comics Studios in their film. The Ambulance has not only that, but Stan Lee playing himself. How did Cohen swing that shit? For starters, Marvel really wasn't what it is today. Like, not by a long shot. Sure, they had success. Characters like Spidey and Captain America were definitely household names. The Lou Ferrigno Hulk show was pretty popular, but you were a fucking dork if you read comics back then. It wasn't considered cool. It was considered a kid's thing by most adults. DC clearly had things quite a bit more figured out with the Dick Donner Superman and the Tim Burton Batman, but Marvel was still struggling a bit. Stan Lee, as a matter of fact, was desperate to get some quality Marvel films made, and got Larry Cohen to write a Doctor Strange script. The movie obviously didn't end up happening, but the two became really great friends. Cohen wrote The Ambulance in mind for the Josh character to be a cartoonist, and he specifically wanted it to be for Stan Lee's Marvel Comics, to which Stan agreed to, which is awesome. And hey, say what you will about the supposed progress that Marvel has made in film, this is still my Captain America. Man, I really gotta riff those shitty Red Brown Captain America movies on my Twitch. So, after that massive info dump, why should you see The Ambulance if you haven't yet? Well, for everything I've just told you. The wild plot, the weird Marvel connection, and some absolutely bonkers scenes. One of my favorite scenes in the movie is where Josh ends up in, like, the Bronx or something and gets jumped by some Bronx warriors. When he comes to, he's been tracked down by the evil ambulance. But as he's being strapped down, he calls out to the punks that beat him up.
You gonna kill him?
Run along, asshole.
Hey guys, you know what's in that ambulance? Drugs. They got morphine. They got heroin. They got plenty of clean needles. You guys will never have to share your needles again. Go for it.
After an over-the-top brawl, Josh still ends up getting mullet napped, but this leads to an absolutely insane sequence. Josh manages to jimmy himself loose from the gurney and goes flying out onto the road. Some of the original casting choices for Josh were Jim Carrey and John Travolta. Though I gotta say, I'm glad it went to Eric Roberts. Dude is underrated as fuck, and he's great in this. The man can play anything, man. Sleazy drug lords, Coca-Cola kids, and even martial arts masters. He truly is the best of the best. And speaking of awesome actors, this flick is absolutely ripe with them. James Earl Jones delivers a wonderfully bombastic performance as Lieutenant Spencer. Overall entertainer and Academy Award-winning actor extraordinaire Red Buttons plays Elias, who I swear steals every scene he's in. He plays Eric Roberts' Bellevue roommate, and the two of them have fantastic chemistry. Janine Turner plays Cheryl, the beautiful diabetic that steals Eric Roberts' heart. I mainly know her from Cliffhanger because I had the biggest crush on her in that when I was a wee lad. And a noteworthy cameo appearance from Lorraine Landon. She worked with Larry Cohen and William Lustig on Maniac Cop and Maniac Cop 2 right before The Ambulance, was a Larry Cohen regular in general, and is a decorated cult actress in her own right. Now, there are other plot points and actors that I'm leaving out on purpose in this video, and that's because I do want more people to see this movie, and I want you to actually be surprised and entertained by some of the other zaniness that appears in this flick. I wouldn't necessarily call The Ambulance a Cohen classic. I do think it has some structure issues, like it's a little unclear as to what the bad guy's motivation is besides basically just mad scientists. But you know what? The pacing and the performances from everyone are rock solid. And in my opinion, makes for a really fun double feature with Maniac Cop. Ooh, could that be a hint for the next episode? Hell no! Be patient.